UI Daniel, the master of all martial arts, versus the greatest assassin to ever exist in the history of Sakamoto Days, the unbeatable Sakamoto Taro. Daniel Park was a high school student who was being bullied by a guy named Logan Lee. Fear of the bullying getting worse, he decided to move to a new city. This city would be called Seoul. Upon moving there, he thought that he would be able to start a new life, not knowing the future events that will hold him for the next few days. One day he wakes up and apparently he's in a second body. The second body will be gifted with the physical prowess of speed, strength, endurance, durability, and on top of that, the skill, technique, and mastery of all martial arts. In chapter 470, UI Dan was going on a rampage against Warren, Vasco, and Jerry. It got to the point where they couldn't even land a hit on him. It was so embarrassing that he would take their moves and use it against them. The reason why I'm bringing this up was because Warren was completely able to pulverize the floor, making a huge crater into the floor. This feat would be calced to small building level. And since we're going to show consistency that UI Daniel scales above this version of Warren, this would mean that UI Dan would also scale to small building level in terms of AP. And if you think that scaling of small building level is inconsistent, allow me to show you some more consistent facts. For one, we know that Vasco was able to completely destroy a wrecking ball in one hit. And we know that UI Daniel also scales to him. Now, where did this feat get to? A small building level. This would mean that Lookism is consistently small building level. And if you still don't believe me, I don't know what to tell you. But I'll show another feat to prove that they are at least small building level. One of the first generation kings, Kwok Ji Chang, was able to vaporize the safe. We know that it was vaporized because we see the smoke, and on top of that, we do not see any pieces equivalent to fragmentation. This would mean that he did indeed vaporize the safe. Now, where did this feat get to? I mean, it might not look like much. However, to vaporize something, that would require a lot of joules. This feat would get to small building level, showcasing the consistency of Lookism being small building. UI Dan would obviously scale above Kwok Ji Chang as he has shown greater feats than him, and on top of that, he has better narrative, fighting against even stronger opponents than Ji Chang struggled against. He also beat a guy that Ji Chang couldn't even take down. From the evidence shown, I think it's fair to assume that he is indeed small building level. Now we should move on to the speed scaling of UI Daniel. Starting off small, we know that Zach Lee pre-time skip, which means before his training, was able to dodge a punch from point blank range. This character was stated to be one of the best boxers of all of the teens. This feat was calced to at least Supersonic Plus, and we know that Zach Lee has got significantly faster as he gained the mastery of speed. In this next feat, we have Eli being able to grab a jacket before the fist reaches his face. This is happening in a very short time frame. We see it close to his face, and before Hudson even realizes, he's automatically in the air. This would mean that he was perception blitz, and this is happening in one time frame, meaning that this feat got to hypersonic, and this is where UI Daniel was scale at. He's significantly stronger than this version of Eli. So Lookism is at least small building level, supersonic to hypersonic plus, and you can even make an argument for high hypersonic. So now that we got through the scaling of Lookism, let's move on to Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Taro, formerly the most powerful assassin of all time. Well, that was until he fell in love and had a kid, but that's besides the point. Let's get into some ridiculous scaling of Sakamoto Days. We can get into prime, or even if he wasn't in his prime, doesn't really matter. Starting off with the first feat, we know that Taro was able to hold up the Tokyo Tower with only 30% of his original strength. This is at least a small building level feat, doing the kinetic energy formula and all that, getting this feat to, small building level. Multiplying that feat by 100 over 30 should get this feat to around building level plus, if not large building level. Not to mention we have characters like Mr. Takamura performing building level feats who prime Taro stated to be above, making building level Taro consistent within the verse. We also have people like Gaku being able to one-inch punch people through an entire plane. We have people like Kuruma being able to collapse an entire floor, and we even have people like Kuma being able to throw an entire truck through a wall. I mean, what would you expect from a guy able to stop a bus with a stop sign? I mean, what the hell? I mean, even in one of the most recent chapters, Takamura was able to make a building size slash. In terms of AP, we can at least say they are at least at the very minimum building level plus. This is not even taking into account the new recent feats that could be city block level. For starters, for speed, we know that Sakamoto was able to casually block a bullet with a kitchen utensil. Sakamoto speed casually reaching the hypersonic plus ranges. And this is even the craziest part. But before I get into the craziest speed feat, let's just get into a little bit more minor feats. In chapter 1, Sakamoto blocks a bullet with a cop drops far surpassing the speed of sound. How do you even think of that much creativity? He's able to catch 99 bullets with chopsticks. I mean, at this point, what more do I need to say about his speed? I mean, he's pretty much on another level when it comes to speed. Bullets are nothing in the face of Sakamoto. Yeah, I know y'all are waiting for the main speed feat, so let's just go ahead and get into it. But first, let's give it a recap on what was going on in the chapter. So a former order member had killed Sakamoto's teacher. Sakamoto's enraged and they begin to fight. Fat Taro is eventually overpowered, so he has to go into a slim form as he couldn't stand a chance against him in his fat form. The two are exchanging blows until eventually Kanagiri pulls out a weapon. But what is this weapon, you may ask? Why is it so important? The weapon that Kanagiri pulls out is light itself. Yeah, you heard me. Light itself. We eventually get to a scene where Kanagiri appears behind Sakamoto and he shoots the light at him. But then the unexpected happens. With the weapon that Sakamoto had in his hand, he's able to reflect that attack in time and it hits Kanagiri in the back without him noticing. This would prove that Sakamoto was able to react to a light attack, making him at least relativistic, if not light speed. But Slash, can you show consistency? Not that I really have to, but I'll show another feat similar to this. You can take this how you will. Either way, it's going to be the same result. An order member named Kendaka has shoes that makes him light speed. At first, he was blitzing Sakamoto and Nagumo to the point where they couldn't react, but eventually, a Team Sakamoto starts to adapt to Kendaka. So yeah, Sakamoto is indeed relativistic or the speed of light. So who wins this battle? I mean, it should be fairly obvious who's winning this fight. Sakamoto's obviously taking this. I mean, he has too much up his arsenal. For one, let's say this fight took place in a room where there's some items in there. Sakamoto's more creative than UI Daniel. He's overall a better fighter, while UI Daniel's a better hand-to-hand combat, yeah. But in terms of fighting, overall, Sakamoto just simply has the edge. And he's the superior in terms of speed, strength, durability, and all that. He's simply the better fighter, he's the stronger fighter, he's the faster fighter, and he's taking the win. Danielpark is really strong, but he just stands no chance against the greatest assassin of all time. If you want me to do more videos like that, subscribe to my channel and like the video. I just hit 1K, so, thank you for that. And with that said, I'll see you all on the next video.